question is, what is a coordinate proof? Well, by plotting the vertices of a geometric figure, i.e. a triangle, and or using given information, as you'll see here shortly, you can determine the location of points and the lengths of sides. Go ahead and pause the video and write that down. All right, so now that you've written that down, go ahead and turn to the back of your sheet, and you will see the following question: how do we determine the x or y coordinate given the other one? And we've got a little example over here. It says, given the information on the coordinate plane, what is the y coordinate of point A? So they went ahead and plotted the 3 points for us. We've got C located here at point 0, 0. We have B at 5, 0. And then we have A, and what we're looking for is what the value of the y coordinate of A will be. We've also got some other information they've given us. They said that this segment and this segment are congruent. So again, those markings are going to become very important, and they've already become very important to us. We're going to use that information in order to determine what the value of this coordinate will be. We know, based on what we see there, that AC is congruent to point CB. We've also been given the fact that to go from C to B on the x-axis, we had to go from point 0 to point 5. We're not really worried about our y-axis right now because we know we're going from directly right to left, and we're actually living at the 0 point on the y-axis. So this is pretty simple for us to see that the value or the length of CB here is going to be 5 units. We know that these two sides need to be congruent, or these segments must be congruent. And so whatever we did to go from C to B, we need to do the same thing to go from C to A. This one's pretty forgiving because we're literally just going up and down the x or the y axis. So again, we went from 0 to 5 on the x axis to get to B. So we're going to need to go from 0 to 5 on the y axis to get to A. So we started at 0, we come all the way up to 0.5 here, and which tells us that the coordinate for A is going to be nothing more than 0 and 5. So 5 would be the missing y coordinate. Okay, so just to kind of reiterate what we just determined, here, let me open this up. We went 5 spaces to the right again from 0 to get to B. So we have to go 5 spaces up from 0 to get to A. We have to go the same value because we know those two segments are worth the same. The y coordinate of A again is 5. All right, here's another example, and we are kind of moving into a different geometric figure, but it still kind of applies the same process. In fact, you can see they have plotted 4 points on a coordinate plane, and they've shown us some additional information about what's going on inside this figure. And I guess the most important thing to keep in mind is that this is, of course, the origin. And each of these dashes are not designating the actual number of units that we're walking. They're showing that we have congruency from 0 to B, 0 to A, 0 to D, and then 0 to C. So each of these segments are worth the same value. They've given us the value of A. They said that the point A is at 2, 0. In fact, the question says find the missing coordinates if A is at point 2, 0. So similar to what we did above, we've got to determine, we got to go from 0 and then 2 to the right. We had to go from 0 to 2 to the right to get to A, so we kind of need to do the same thing for the others. I'm going to do point C with you, and then I'm going to have you pause the video and try to find point B and D on your own. Again, we had to go from 0 and 2 to the right to get to A. So yeah, we could get picky on this and do some distance formula and try to determine some other things based on some of the tools we have. And trust me, those are huge and important, and we will be applying them. But a lot of this is somewhat intuitive. Again, I'm going from 0 to 2. I had to go 2 spaces to the right to get to A. If I'm going the same distance to get to point C, I've got to go 2 spaces to the left. But of course, when we're on a coordinate plane, if we go left of 0 on the x-axis, we are actually going towards the negative side. So I had to go positive 2 to get to A. I'm going to have to go negative 2 to get to C. So just to kind of determine where we are with C, we had to go negative 2 in order to make these two segments congruent. And then for the y value, I just stayed right here at the 0 point for y, which gives me the point of 0 for my y coordinate for C. And again, go ahead and pause the video and determine what points the point B and D will be, and then check your work. Okay, so you should have gotten the point 0, 2 for B, and you should have gotten the point 0, negative 2 for D. If you didn't get those values, please raise your hand and we'll come over and see what happened. All right, the next question. How can we find other coordinates given a pre-drawn figure? So in this situation, we've been given information on a coordinate plane. We've got our y and our x-axis. Of course, there's our 0 point right there. We've got point C at negative 3, 4. We've got point A at 5, 6, and then B is 1 for the x-coordinate and negative 4 for the y-coordinate. They've drawn the figure. They've put a couple of other points in here, and then the question here says, find the coordinates of F, the midpoint of AC. Well, here's C and here's A. And what I want you guys to think about with this is it's nothing different from anything we've already done relating to midpoint, distance. In fact, we'll do a little slope practice in the practice works that you have. When you've been given 2 points, if the question had just said something like find the midpoint of AC, given the fact that C is located at negative 3, 4, and A is located at 5, 6, and I said just, find the midpoint of these 2 points. That's the way the question has been given to you. In fact, our last test, we had one where we had to extract the points from the coordinate plane. Here, it's already been drawn, they connected the dots, but we don't care about that. I'm just going to use and practice the same formulas that I have been using all along. So again, for midpoint, we're doing add the x's, divide by 2, and add the y's, divide by 2. And then I'm just going to insert the information I know. This is my y. That's my x. This is my y. Here's my x and my y. So I'll do negative 3 plus 5 divided by 2 for my x-coordinate. And I'm going to just shrink this down over here. 4 plus 6 divided by 2 for my y-coordinate. And when I do that, I come up with the values of 1 and 5. And the way to check this is, here's F. They've already plotted it for you. Just sort of doing an eyeball of where we are. It looks like if we're about 1 here on our plane and 5 on the y-axis, yeah, we're hitting right about that point. So that's kind of a good way to check your work, particularly when you're looking for midpoint and they've given you a figure like this. At this point, I want you to go ahead and find CB, and so pause the video, go ahead and find CB, and then check your answer. So you should have gotten the value of 8.9. Remember, when I say find CB, it's the same thing as saying find the length of CB or find the distance between C and B. In fact, I would say CB is equal to, I'll get a little crazy here. In fact, I would say that CB is equal to 8.9.